So Allison Hartson is, of course, running against Dianne Feinstein in California for the Senate seat. Super progressive, fought to get money out of politics as the national director of Wolf-PAC. Feinstein, on the other hand, not super progressive. And so a lot of the establishment Democrats would run a soft campaign against Feinstein and politely, and they would say, well, I do declare she's a wonderful politician and served us for a long time, but perhaps she can step aside. No. Allison's like, no, I need to serve people, and we need to point out that she's not getting the job done and she's not progressive. So 3 ads back to back, okay? Watch this. And you see what kind of candidate Allison Hartson is. First, on Medicare for All. Let's play video number 2.
Will you co-sponsor Senator Bernie Sanders' Medicare for All bill?
Not at this stage.
Dianne, you've been in Congress for a quarter of a century. When are you going to be ready for Medicare for All? Why don't you just be honest with the voters and say that you're never going to be ready because that's not what your donors want?
After that town hall, she went and raised money from healthcare companies. While our families are suffering, she's collecting checks.
The people overwhelmingly want Medicare for All, but big pharma donors profit off of a sick America. There is no excuse for this in a democracy. I'm going to make sure that this entire country has healthcare by fighting for a Medicare for All system now. We cannot afford to keep waiting for the wealthiest nation in the world to have a healthy and prosperous people. And I'm not going to take a dime of corporate money so that you can be confident that my fight is for you. It's time that California has a senator who will lead, not follow the money.
Damn. What are you waiting for? You've been in office for decades. So that's Medicare for All. She's not done yet. Let's go to income inequality.
Dianne Feinstein is worth $80 million. Her husband is a billionaire. Income inequality isn't the problem for her, it's the solution. Dianne Feinstein voted for the Bush tax cuts and to repeal the estate tax. Dianne, how many tax cuts are you going to give yourself? Dianne Feinstein is never going to fix this problem because she is the problem. I'm going to represent you, not the wealthy elite. I'm Allison Hartson, and I approve this message because I'm going to get money and Dianne Feinstein out of politics.
I believe that's another damn.
That's a good line.
I'm gonna get Dianne Feinstein and money out of politics. Anyway, and I love how many tax cuts are you gonna give yourself, Dianne? Good question, but we're not done yet. Just today, she released a new ad, and this one is about not just about marijuana legalization, but about criminal justice reform. Watch.
Dianne Feinstein has the same position on marijuana as Jeff Sessions. She's against research, she's against legalization, she's against criminal justice reform. Dianne Feinstein's position has cost the freedom of millions of people in communities of color. When I say I'm fighting for us, I'm not just talking about people who look like me. I'm talking about all of us. I will represent the wishes of California voters, unlike our current senator. I'm Allison Hartson, and I approve this message because you already voted on this issue, and it's about time we have a senator who's on your side.
I would argue those are hard-hitting ads, and she's not pulling any punches, and she's saying, look, people in California voted. It wasn't unclear. It won easily, medical marijuana and then recreational marijuana. Why is Dianne Feinstein stuck in 1992 and won't move on it and has the same position as Jeff Sessions? Jesus. I mean, we're supposed to be fighting Trump. She's supposed to be part of the resistance. And she's still stuck in an age where she thinks, oh, marijuana, it's really dangerous. It's a gateway drug. Are you insane? I mean, we got the opioid crisis. We know what the gateway drug, and it ain't marijuana. And by the way, we're your voters. You're supposed to listen to us. That's kind of how democracy is supposed to work.
Well, I mean, she's great, and her positions are great, but it's also, with someone like Dianne Feinstein, it's just another example of why there have to be term limits. Senate is not a lifetime job. That's what the reason she has views from, and you said 1992, more like 1962 or whatever, because she's that old. Because those were the views she was taught, and like perfect example, marijuana is the evil gateway drug, and Medicare for all is socialism, which is evil, and so on. I mean, these old ideas have to go, but these people get locked into the Senate, they get locked into Congress, and then and they just don't go anywhere. Dianne Feinstein, you know, these old senators are completely out of touch with how anyone lives today, with what anyone deals with, because they're still operating from the ideas they had 20, 30, 40 years ago.
So someone online said, well, you know, but at least Dianne Feinstein knows the ropes. Knows the ropes of what? She's been sitting there for 50 years, and what has it gotten us? Did we get Medicare for all? Did we get equality and the higher minimum wage? Did we get any of the things that we were looking for? The answer is no, 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 no. And what does she do? I mean, was she a champion fighter? Like, oh my God, Dianne Feinstein, she's gonna get out there, she's gonna rip him up. Oh, Fox News is scared of Dianne Feinstein. No, none of that. She voted for more wars, she voted for more tax cuts. And so I think that if you've had 50 years, it's a good enough shot.
It's a good run.
It's a good run, and it's not about the age. Yeah, she's 84, but it's not about the age. It's about that if you haven't done anything in 50 years, you ain't gonna do it in the next 50 years, and you ain't gonna do it in the next couple of years. So at least let someone who is more in tune with the voters of California today step in and fight for us. I mean, and one last thing about that. To your point, Alonzo, Dianne Feinstein in the town hall said that Medicare for all was a complete takeover of the healthcare system. That's a Republican talking point. That's not true at all. It's about health insurance. It's not about doctors and hospitals and stuff. She's had 50 years in office. She doesn't even know the policy. She doesn't know it at all. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing that she doesn't know anything? I mean, the whole point is supposed to be that, oh, well, she's really, you know, she knows the ropes. She's been there a long time. She knows what she's doing. Turns out she doesn't even know what Medicare is.
Yeah.
So no, they just sit up there and ask for tax cuts for themselves and dole out stuff for their donors. That's their only job.
Even if it wasn't inaccurate, I hate that framing so much that it's a takeover. Okay, what if it was? The US military is a complete takeover of the private mercenaries industry. The fire department's the takeover of the guy running around with a bucket who will splash it on your burning house if you give him a buck industry. If we have a messed up industry, I don't care if there's a government takeover of it, if it provides a better outcome for the American people. And also, being a really, really old senator doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. Even having the same ideas for a really long time doesn't have to be a terrible thing. Bernie Sanders has had the exact same ideas for like 45 years. Thankfully, he was about 45 years ahead of America at that point. And so as long as you ground yourself in reality, you know what the actual condition of the American working people is, and you hopefully evolve over time as America does, you can be really old and still be in the Senate. But if you do have all of the same views that you did when you were first elected, that weren't really great for America in the first place, let alone now, that's when we have this process of elections, because you're not supposed to just be there for the rest of your life.
Yeah, you say America, and that's absolutely right, but let alone California.
Yeah.
And the reason I say 1992 is because she's still stuck in that Bill Clinton triangulation phase. But we're not in that time. It's decades later. The Medicare for all polls between 60 and 70%. Marijuana legalization in California, I think it's not even an issue anymore. It's done, it's done. You gotta fight for us, not for Jeff Sessions, and it polls, I think, at 70%, and the list goes on, and it didn't back in 1992. And so what Dianne Feinstein got famous for, and you guys might not remember this because it was a long time ago, is that she has always been for the death penalty. She's still for the death penalty in California, representing progressive voters for the death penalty. But not only that, in a campaign ad, she bragged about how Democrats booed her for being the death penalty. She ran that as an ad in a general election saying, look at that, I will spit in the Democratic voters' faces. I'll tell them that I'm for the death penalty and I'll make them take it. And the Republicans helped her to get into office. Why she's still our senator? That's insane. Yeah. Enough's enough. So AllisonHartson.com/go is how you donate. AllisonHartson.com/now is how you volunteer. So please go out there and do that, okay?